All right, Chris, preseason game number 1, it's in the books. Let's get to preseason game number 2 this Friday. What are 3 things that we're going to see? 3 things that we want to see the Carolina Panthers improve upon going into game number 2.
They just need to look a lot better. We'll be talking about that.
Yeah, we're gonna hit those 3 things. Also, Chris, you spoke to Dion Jones, inside linebacker, one of the latest additions of the Carolina Panthers. But before we get into that, let's get this sucker started.
The state of North Carolina covers 53,000 square miles. It is the habitat of the feared Carolina Panthers. Get dialed in, Panthers fans, for an in-depth look at your team, exclusive interviews, locker room insight. Let's huddle up for Panthers Playbook. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea. I'm Dennis Cox. By the way, before we get into the 3 things for the Carolina Panthers, for Chris, your conversation with Dion Jones, if you're listening to us here on your favorite podcast app, make sure you follow us, all right? Subscribe, leave us a nice 5-star review. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button, hit the likes, and leave comments. We'll interact with you. At least I will, Chris.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to interact with people.
If it's positive, I'll interact with other people. But, sometimes people don't like to be positive. So I might have to block or mute or whatever.
That's fine, but leave us comments anyway. Leave us comments anyway. All right, let's get into preseason game number 1. Done. Already on from that. Preseason game number 2 is this coming Friday. 3 things that we want to see the Carolina Panthers improve upon. 1, tackling. 2, better offensive line play. And 3, let's see the playbook open up a little bit. Let's get into that 3rd thing right away, actually. I want to see Frank Reich let Bryce, let him throw, let him cook.
Let him cook a little bit.
Yeah.
It's, one of the things, and it made sense after the first preseason game when Frank Reich said, hey, we didn't play within our scheme at all. Like, we didn't show you anything. And I get it, right? You don't want to put too much on tape early on. You have a rookie quarterback. It's a new offensive staff, basically a new system than what people are used to with the Carolina Panthers. So they don't want to put too much on tape so that their early opponents know what they're getting into. They're probably going to have different things from game to game, right? Like Atlanta is probably going to see something different than what New Orleans is going to see. But at the same time, I don't want it to be looking as vanilla as it did because, boy, it looked really vanilla. Like, I didn't see any of the things that I saw in practice. I felt like what I've seen in practice from the Carolina Panthers when I was at training camp looked completely different than what was on the field when I was at Bank of America Stadium. Of course, like we didn't see the different packages for somebody like Laviska Shenault. We didn't see the different type of different run game aspects that they could have installed, things like that. And then we didn't see Bryce Young really get a chance to really air it out. That is something that I want to see and what that looks like. But also, we're going to talk about this, that does come down to protection. Will Bryce Young have enough time to air it out? Will Andy Dalton, if he's going to play, will Matt Corral, will they have enough time to air it out? I will say this, though. There is a chance that we do see a little bit more of that because, and this does go into the offensive line play, but Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, he's known for his exotic blitzes, his exotic looks and packages and stuff like that for his defensive staff. That means that a lot of times they could be bringing the house, okay? How will the Carolina Panthers kind of operate outside of that? Will they have a lot of DJ Chark or Adam Thielen or Laviska Shenault one-on-one down there? And can Bryce Young connect with those guys? Can they get more explosive plays down the field, getting more chunk yardage instead of these dink and dunks, 6, 5, 4 yards here and there? So that's going to be one of the things I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. And this is going to be a good Giants defense that could basically give the Panthers a few fits. It'll be indicative of what maybe they could potentially do during the regular season.
I want play number 1, play action, DJ Chark on like a big deep post route down the middle of the field or on a go route. Just give it, let him air it out. I don't care where the ball lands. I just want to see that they're going to be aggressive. And again, I want to see Bryce Young show off the arm strength. All right, you mentioned the second thing, offensive line protection. They did not look good. They did not look good at all. And it comes simply down to this. Look, you brought back all 5 starters for a reason. I know Austin Corbett's still recovering from his ACL injury that he suffered in the final game of the regular season last year against the New Orleans Saints. But the other 4 guys were intact, right? I know Cade Mays, who was with the team last season as a rookie, he was plugged in as a starter on at right guard. I know he's not playing this weekend. Frank Reich on Wednesday mentioned that I think Cade Mays is not going to play. Andy Dalton dealing with a back injury. Terrace Marshall not playing as well, all dealing with injuries. So those guys aren't going to play. Chandler Zavala, the rookie out of NC State, 4th rounder, is going to step in and get a lot of reps this coming weekend. But can you protect Bryce Young? Like, can you actually just play to the level that we saw them play last season? Looking at you, Ike Ekwonu. Looking at you, Brady Christensen. Like, just literally, they don't have to go out and get new guys. I'm not at that point yet, Chris, but can you just raise the level of your game to what you played at last season? Can we see that?
And Frank Reich said basically that they're comfortable with the roster that they have now. And unfortunately, when it comes down to offensive line, if you don't have a job right now and you're an offensive lineman, you're probably not good enough to make the squad anyway.
That's
it's very
true.
different if you're, a running back or a wide receiver or a linebacker or edge rusher or whatever sitting home right now because you're just waiting for the right opportunity and the right deal. So the Panthers pretty much have to deal with what they got. And so
Yeah.
the team that they have right now, the offensive line that's in front of Bryce Young right now, how will they step together? You can go back and listen to our post-game episode with the Jets. You heard from some offensive line guys there, and we talked everything about what happened in that Jets game. But what I'm interested in seeing is with that big meeting that they had with offensive line coach James Campen after the game, did that light a fire under these guys, right?
Hope it did.
I didn't get a chance to watch Hard Knocks, but I was reading some reviews, and apparently Quinnen Williams was basically calling out that offensive line in Hard Knocks, saying he could have had 10 sacks if they let him in practice.
Yeah.
That, oh my God, like that is not good, Panthers. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
So like you're getting called out on national television about from this one guy who said he could have had 10 sacks if they would have let him in practice. So how are you going to step up to that? I hope that they're listening to this. I hope they're watching this. I hope that they really saw what was going on in that game and they step up. And I also am interested in seeing what Chandler Zavala does, right? Because he's been injured most of the offseason, especially during training camp, I should say. And so he hasn't had a lot of that live action. So how is he going to do against live action? How is he also going to do on that right side? Because he's normally on the left side traditionally when he was at NC State with Ike Ekwonu. So we'll see how that all goes out. And then, of course, you got a Giants defense that's going to bring a lot of pressure from a lot of different areas.
Look, it doesn't matter what your scheme and all that kind of stuff is. If you can't block and protect, it means squat. It means absolutely nothing. And that was the position, offensive line, that I was most confident in offensively coming into the season. Now after game one,
right?
Again. Well, here's the things. Like that's all we have to go off of. I know there's last season, but this year's different. Guys change. So,
and it was the fact that they have the same offensive line coach too. Like I know it's a different offensive scheme, but same offensive line coach. So you're being coached up the same way. So you didn't think that you're going to see that type of a drop off. And to see the early returns from the Jets game and to hear Quinnen Williams said, "Oh man, I could add 10 sacks in practice." That is not good whatsoever. And so I'm really hoping that this doesn't end up being a sore spot. And I hope this isn't like one of these things that we're going to continuously talk about throughout the season right here on Panthers Playbook.
I hope so. I hope I'm with you on that. All right, before we get to Dion Jones, the third and final thing, Chris, something that we see often early in the season is poor tackling. And that's something, again, you see because in training camps, oftentimes, you're not actually tackling and going to the ground. So that's actually a skill set and aspect of football that actually is, for lack of a better term, eroding, if that makes sense. It's declining because you want to protect guys during training camp. You're limiting the number of hits. The number of padded practices is greatly reduced. So, again, you're not tackling against live players. Now, they got some different technology and things along those lines that can help with tackling, but it's still different when you're actually out there live on the field playing actual live speed. So I think it should improve, hopefully, but also want to see the defense be able to sniff out a screenplay as well. It's something they did not do very well against
You
the
know,
Jets.
and I was looking at PFF grades, and we're talking to Dion Jones as you mentioned. Dion Jones had 2 missed tackles in that game against the Jets, so he had, I guess, the lowest grade on defense as far as tackling is concerned. And for somebody as good as Dion Jones has been since he's gotten to the league in 2016, you know that I don't think he's fallen off. So it's either he's fallen off or this is just an aberration and he just needs to get back into it. And so I think it's going to be the latter. He just needs to get back into it. But it's not just him. Jamie Robinson got a crazy move put on him. And probably been a while since he's made tackles in college. Got a crazy move put on him, and the Jets scored off of that. Like he could have stopped. I think it was Abanikana, the running back for the Jets. So that's one thing I'm definitely going to be looking at as well. I thought the first team defense, of course, looked great, but they still have a few things I would like for them to kind of clean up. But it's going to be like sure tackling, sure hitting, making sure that on contact you're getting these guys to the ground. And look, these are great NFL athletes, right? You're going to find somebody, especially if Saquon Barkley ends up playing. Saquon Barkley can break tackles, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's not the end of the world if a tackle is broken, if you miss a tackle. But if it continues to be an ongoing thing, if the Carolina Panthers become the Carolina Panthers of 2020 in 2019, where teams could just run all over them, that's going to be a problem because you're going to need to stop teams on third down so that your offense can hopefully keep the time of possession up. If other teams have a longer time of possession because they know they can run on you and you guys are not going to tackle, then you're not going to give Bryce Young any time to operate, especially if he's already dealing with offensive line issues.
All right, we talked about Dion Jones. Chris, let's get right to your exclusive interview. You're one-on-one. No one else had this interview. Only you did.
Nobody
Chris.
else. Just
no
me.
one else. Dion Jones here on Panthers Playbook.
All right, joining us right now on Panthers Playbook, Dion Jones, linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, joined the team a couple of weeks ago. And Dion, I wanted to ask you about this because most of your career you spent in Atlanta, of course, and going against the Carolina Panthers in the NFC South. You also grew up in New Orleans. I don't know if you were a Saints fan, but like how weird is it for you to have this jersey on, maybe watching a team in your city go against this team and then playing for another team that goes against the Carolina Panthers so much?
So far it's definitely been an adjustment. Trying to get to learn learn to love these colors. You know what I'm saying? Then I was in the division, and this is a good rivalry. So just definitely trying to get the culture down, get the guys, and trying to figure out everything there is about the city and like I said, the culture of the place.
Okay, and then also there's a few other LSU guys that's there. As well. Dante Jackson. Yeah, it's Dante Jackson, Terrace Marshall, a few other people, but you guys have a quarterback from Alabama. So when you guys are talking to Bryce or whatever, do you guys kind of go back and forth with that? Maybe also Bradley Bozeman, he's from Alabama too.
We really haven't started that part yet. I think that's going to kick off when college football start. Everything start. The ball start rolling on that. So far, we've just been trying to make sure Bryce have a smooth transition. Be a good teammate to him and make sure this learning curve is makes it easy. Like, what I'm saying? Not really trying to, press a lot on him, but just making sure he get comfortable and, feel good in the locker room. It's major.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this defense. Before you came along, some of the questions about the Panthers defense, specifically for their linebackers, is there's, of course, Frankie Louvu, Shaq Thompson. Those guys are great at what they do. But who's going to come on behind that? Kamu Grugier-Hill has come on during training camp, and he's been looking really good. Of course, the Panthers signed you to be a part of it. Now, all of a sudden, this linebacking core looks amazing. What do you see out of this linebacking core? How dangerous can you guys be within the whole scheme of the entire defense?
I just think, we could be as good as we want to be. Like, we just constantly got to put the work in, constantly got to keep on the grind, setting the tone. I mean, we're the quarterbacks at the D. And we just got to carry the guys with us. So far, guys been flying around, eager to learn. We've been gelling as a group. And like I said, it's just bringing everybody along. We start with our room, and then, it gets infectious and it spreads to other rooms.
And then, Brian Burns has said that he feels like there's something being special being built in Carolina right now. From your point of view, you've been there for a few weeks now. What do you see that's happening? How do you think this group can continue to get better as the years kind of go along?
Like I said, what has been like kind of for me is like new coaching staff, new group of guys together, and basically looking for our standard, like setting the tone every day, setting our precedent on how we want to do things, and that's going to be a day-to-day battle. And I think we have the right guys on the team, the right people in charge, and coaches and all that who's encouraging that, and we just got to keep gelling the team and keep running it along. And I think we should be, like I said, as good as we want to be. We just got to make it a mindset and do what we have to do day in and day out.
Talk about setting that standard when it comes down to, of course, we saw it happen with the Jets game this Friday. You guys get a chance to go against the Giants on the road. The defense specifically, how are you guys looking to gel a little bit better? What are you looking to show in this game that you didn't get a chance to show, or maybe that you guys weren't ready to show so far against the Jets?
As far as that, like I said, last week was our first time playing together as a group under this scheme, like real live bullets. Like I said, guys in different spots doing different things. So, like I said, it's just only gonna get better. Like we finally got something on film that we could look at and that's tangible. You know what I'm saying? So, studying the film and then all of us making the checks and corrections that we need to make in our own game, as also will bring us together. Like us seeing each other striving and unturning every stone. Like that's what makes it grow. That's what makes it happen. So. Just seeing guys, we really just want to see people take another step up this week and get back into however they want to play or whoever they are. You know what I'm
saying? With the coaching staff here, with Ejiro Evero's scheme and just kind of learning, have you played anything similar to this beforehand? If not, what's been the personal learning been like for you to kind of get ready to play within the framework of this defense?
For me, it's kind of like two defenses I played in kind of meshed into one. For me, that's how I kind of compartmentalize it as I'm learning.
Okay.
And I think wait, what's the question? How what you say again? I kind of got lost.
Just basically learning the defense and defense and just kind of how you learning how to play within the framework of everything.
Yeah. So like I said, for me it's all like trial and error. Like try to be in the right spot. Try to see if I could help out somewhere else or stuff like that. Like as I'm working in the rules of the book, and it's just like I got Coach P who's there, I got Coach E who's there, like coaching it up, like if I can't, like where I need to be at, this, that, and the third. And I think everybody in our room for sure that I know of that I can speak on, because that's the room I'm in the most right now. So everyone's trying to find their little inches and a step here, a step there to make it what it needs to be, So, and he's been doing a good job at letting us know, what's too far, like what's right amount. And like I said, we just keep growing and keep crafting it.
That's awesome. I want to go back to the beginning of the interview where you said you're learning to like the colors, but you're trying to get used to Charlotte as well. Is there maybe a misconception that you had about the city of Charlotte, or maybe even the Panthers organization, that as you got in, you're like, oh, okay, this is not what I thought it was. This is better than what I thought it was.
It's not even that. It's just like, when you're in the NFC South, like everybody's your rivalry, you know what I'm saying? And I've never really spent time in Charlotte. I've never, besides coming in day before the game, get in and get out. I just know it's about a 40-minute flight when we're coming from Atlanta. So, like I said, when I go to any city, I like to learn the culture, like where the spots to eat at, places people hang, like things to do. And that's what I mean by learning Charlotte, like getting involved in the city, like being around and see what's up.
What's your new favorite place to eat in Charlotte right now?
Right now, I did go to a good place last night, but I don't have any favorites yet. I'm still okay. Searching, still looking around. So if you got any, shoot them my way.
Well, I'm in Raleigh, so it's I'm not as familiar.
That's a
little far, but there's a couple places that I've had before that's been pretty good. I just can't remember the names right now.
Okay.
Let me ask you about New Orleans. There's a great music culture there as well, but also great football culture. With Dante being from the area as well. Talk about the and then of course the Manning family's from there. Talk about the football culture down in New Orleans outside of like the Saints fandom. Like, why is it so many pros that seem to be turned out from that area?
And we got a lot like Louisiana football is where it's at. Like there's a lot of like we get a sprinkle of like basketball. We get a good bit of baseball players, but all in all, like when you're young, you're playing ball. Like you're out there and you pads. You know, that's as soon as the summer hit, like we outside playing ball. As soon as the fall hit, everybody's on the team. Like from young to the oldest, like it's just part of what we do. Is got LSU, you have the Saints. Like it's just a football state. And you like everybody there love football. Like if you're from there, born and raised, you definitely gonna love football.
I want to ask you about some of the music out of there because some of my favorite hip hop music comes out of New Orleans. I grew up a huge Cash Money fan.
Sure.
There's some of that music and culture from New Orleans. There's some of that kind of, I guess, identify who you are as a person and as a player as well.
I think our music definitely gives off a vibe that like the vibe of like the spirit that all of us have in us. Like real. Like we're loving people, but we also have a little edge to us. I feel like that's all people from Louisiana, and we mess with like it flows through us. Like as soon as we hear, we know where it's from. Like we know where it's from. We know exactly like what section it's from, and we can vibe to it because we understand everybody from that area. Like and spread out throughout the state. So. Like BR, New Orleans, like Laffy Street, like all of it, like we could hear it as soon as we tap in.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know you guys are getting ready for the game against the Giants, so good luck with that. And even though we're in Raleigh, we drive down every home game.
Yeah,
so we'll see you at
the home games now.
Yeah, we got you. We'll be there every time.
All right, cool.
Chris, a lot of things to improve upon from game 1 to game 2 of the preseason. I know it's just the preseason, but they're small little things. But we all know in the NFL, small little things make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. So a lot of small things to look at. I'm not a fan of the preseason going away. I know some people want the preseason to go away. I know that a lot of these guys already, I mean, they go through a grueling season, 17 games. We don't have to go back into that. I think the 17th was unnecessary. But the preseason, especially for offensive line and especially for learning how to tackle, is very important. And so far, those are the two areas where the Carolina Panthers probably need the most work at. So I'm excited to see how things go as far as those two aspects of the game on Friday night. Listen, if you are in the Raleigh area, WRAL, 7 o'clock Friday night, Panthers versus Giants. It's right there for you. You don't have to go anywhere else. And you can also listen to that game on 99.9 The Fan also,
That
right?
you can. 99.9 The Fan. You can listen to it there as well. All the stuff covered for you here on Panthers Playbook as well. Make sure, again, you subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Hit the likes. Leave comments. Again, follow us on YouTube. Or also, if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't want to miss anything, also subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform as well. We'll have another episode of Panthers Playbook the day after, the morning after the Giants game, preseason game number 2. We'll have that for you the morning after. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything from Panthers Playbook. Until next time, we'll see you then.